What is your hope for people reading the book and what they ultimately come away with? If somebody walks up to you in the street 2, 3, 4, 10 years from now and says, hey, I read Edge. Here's what it did for me.
Yeah.
What would be the most meaningful thing for them to say to you?
Yeah, I mean, I have gotten so many really thoughtful notes already that have been so meaningful. And I think, these notes and this is who I was actually writing. As I was writing the book, I was thinking of these people who are aspirational and believe in themselves, but other people haven't for whatever reason. And so it's really this message of, you can empower yourself. You can flip all of this. You can flip obstacles and stereotypes and challenges. Flip that in your favor. And when you're able to flip that in your favor, that's when you can create your own edge.
Yeah. And this book is not just for women or people of color. This is intended for anybody who feels that they're being marginalized and who wants to get an edge, correct?
Absolutely. It's both those people who are trying to succeed and trying to get somewhere but feel like they can't. I also, as I was writing it, there was a number of instances where I found that, parents, for whatever reason, will ask professors for parenting advice because they think that, I don't know, whatever.
Well, you're a professor.
Well, yeah. And so they would
might be able to teach them something.
And I was realizing as they were sort of asking is that, parents are fighting so hard to try and give their kids an advantage.
Yeah,
right?
You want to talk about an edge.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting so hard. We see instances where parents are like illegally buying their kids SAT scores and trying to get them, buy them into colleges, but on a more benign, in a more legal way, like private coaches, extra tutoring, extracurriculars. But instead of fighting so hard to give your kids an edge, which might just be one-dimensional, instead teach them how to create their own edge. Teach them how to create their own edge so that they know how to go into a situation and how they enrich and how they can delight and how they can guide those perceptions of others. So they have that advantage in every context.
Today, almost every skill you want to learn is available on YouTube or online or on Coursera or edX or MIT courseware.
Or at Harvard Business School.
Harvard Business School has, are all the courses online?
Well, HBX, so there's an online.
And all the courseware is free. You only pay to get the paper, is my understanding for these things. If all of the courseware in the world is out there, and then all the prerequisites are on Brilliant.org, which we're investors in, or Khan Academy, those places, how do you account for motivation and the fact that so many people who don't feel they can get an edge are spending 5 hours a day watching television and just not motivated to add skills or educate themselves when all of this free education is out there? I was looking at MIT courseware recently and I was watching these videos. I'm like, these videos on YouTube are like the huge unlock to getting a job anywhere in tech, like machine learning course, right?
Yep.
And they have 300,000 views. And I'm just like, and then some idiotic YouTubers got, 100 million views for a video, 1 billion views. How do you account for motivation and the fact that so many people want to complain about the system being broken? They don't have an edge. The system's, stopping them, yet they don't want to go get these skills which are freely available online.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that everyone can learn it. Everyone can learn this. Everyone can learn to create their own edge, but not everyone is willing to. And that willingness comes from a lot of different factors. I mean, one factor is that you have to be willing to be okay with failure and embarrassment. You're going to embarrass yourself. And when you embarrass yourself, most people sort of say, never again. I'm never going to put myself in that situation.
Yes.
But that's actually the situation in which you should be doubling down. You double down and because we don't learn as much as we'd like to say, make that mistake once and then you'll never make it again. I don't know. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 times making the same mistake before I really get it. And so you have to be willing to have that humility and that failure and that embarrassment to sort of learn this. I mean, I think the other piece of it is that, there's so much information out there. There's almost now too much. And so we assume that we have everything at our disposal. But really, in order to grow, you have to prune. Yeah. And companies have to do this. People have to do this. You have to go back to what are the basics? What are your basic goods? What are your basic things that really make you? And companies, as they grow and scale, they lose out on this all the time. They start adding features. They start adding, different segments, all these things, but go back to what you're good at. If you are
essentialism.
If you are an Italian restaurant and your thing is like homemade pasta.
Yeah, get it right.
Yeah, make sure that stays right, even as you grow and expand your menu and do all these other things.
I was explaining this to somebody. We were eating in a Japanese restaurant, a ramen place, and they were my favorite ramen place in San Mateo, and they were like, they don't have like tempura. And I was just like, you have not been to Japan, right? They're like, no. I'm like, if you said this in Japan, they would say, you're in a ramen restaurant. If you want tempura, the restaurant 2 doors down is a tempura restaurant.
Right.
And in Japan, it's like the katsu restaurant is the katsu restaurant,
right.
and the Kobe beef and the sushi place. Like, and in America, with this weird perception that like you go to a Japanese restaurant and they're like, there's the katsu and there's your sushi and there's your ramen and there's your tempura. Right. It's like, there's no thought of like, which one are they excellent at? And you cannot be excellent at all 4 or 5 things.
That's right.
Pick one and be excellent and deeply excellent. This is because I get this advice too. Like, hey, talk to my kid, or what should I tell my kid? And I'm like, the ability to learn skills quickly is the unlock. Like, if you can add a skill in a very short period of time, it is so impressive to employers and so effective when running a startup. And I was just having a meeting before we got on air with a founder who just was a hardware founder who taught himself all the sales and marketing stuff.
Yeah.
And is doing much better than, the VP of sales, like this chief revenue officer that would cost $300,000 or $400,000, because they just took this 3 to 6 months to learn everything about sales and marketing and the whole funnel.
Uh-huh.
This is the unlock, is just being able to learn these skills quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's so critical because you can't be excellent at 6 things at once.
No.
And so that's the sort of, you have to prune in order to grow. As you're growing and trying to get bigger, keep going back to what are the 1 or 2 things that you're really, really good at. Keep building from there, just like a tree, right?
Yeah.
If the tree wants to grow, you got to prune away the extra stuff so that you can grow.
You can't have like 50 limbs that are all the big thick ones that, it's like, maybe there's 3 or something.
Right.